Welcome to the Aviation Insurance Podcast, the podcast that helps aircraft owners and aviation businesses learn and understand the complex world of aviation insurance and risk management. From the basic principles of aviation insurance to risk management techniques and updates on the aviation insurance market, the Aviation Insurance Podcast is your guide to traverse the world of aviation insurance. Now, here's your host, Tim Bonnell.
Well, welcome to the Aviation Insurance Podcast, where we've been talking about the fundamentals of aircraft and aviation insurance through a series of policies. And I want to get into a little bit of a new subject, but one that incorporates some of our previous episodes, and that is the issues in aircraft or aviation insurance related to international travel. So when we take our aircraft outside of the United States, there's a number of things we really need to look at and consider. And so we just want to highlight some of those issues. And again, in a lot of situations, there are companies out there that can help an aircraft operator navigate these issues. But from an insurance perspective, we want to be sure and look at some key factors as we make our planning and our process to take our aircraft out of the country. So the first thing is that we need to be sure that the aircraft, their policy territory of the insurance policy covers the country you're going to travel to. So many aircraft insurance policies for, pleasure and incidental business travel use or corporate use, will include, the United States, typically Canada, Mexico, sometimes the Bahamas, but not always. So it is very important to look at the policy territory and verify that the country you're traveling to is included in the policy territory. Otherwise, you want to make sure to see if you can add it. Otherwise, coverage will not apply where you take that aircraft. Again, if you've heard a past episode of ours where we talked about the most commonly denied aircraft insurance claims, one of them was claims that violated the policy territory. The loss or the occurrence happened outside of the territory outlined in the insurance policy. So first, we want to make sure that the territory is included. Number two, we need to keep in mind that regardless of the territory, even a territory that says worldwide, the policy cannot apply to countries that are subject to OFAC sanctions or individuals on the SDN, specially designated nationals list. So an insurance claim or an insurance issue can't violate government sanctions or issues. It can't violate the law. So if you go into a country that's OFAC sanctioned, your insurance policy will be considered outside of the policy territory, even if that country is a worldwide territory. So it's important to remember that the country you're traveling to must not be under OFAC sanctions. Again, you can find that list online. OFAC's part of the Department of the Treasury. And so anytime you're traveling internationally, that's a key thing to keep in mind. Also, I want to highlight an earlier episode where we talked about war risk, hull, and liability coverages. War risk is a broad term. There are exclusions in every aircraft policy that deal with not only war, but strikes, riots, civil commotion, insurrection, all those things. Hijacking is one of those things excluded, and also confiscation of the aircraft. So when you travel outside of the United States, the opportunity for the aircraft to be confiscated by someone else, a foreign government or a regime, increases. It can happen in the United States as well. So it's important coverage to carry either way, but when you're going to certain places, that war risk, hull, and liability coverage becomes more important because of that confiscation clause, along with those other, all those other exclusions we talked about. So I'm not going to hit on each one of those points. If you need more information, check out our episode on aviation war risk, hull and liability coverage, or war risk. It's an important coverage to keep in mind when you're traveling internationally. I would not take my aircraft to another country without that coverage. Then lastly, I just want to touch on the fact that there are special requirements to travel to other countries. And we'll talk about that in one of our upcoming episodes, as well as other non-aircraft related issues we want to think about from an insurance perspective when we're traveling outside of the United States. And we'll get to that in the upcoming episodes. And until then, join us next time as we continue navigating the waypoints in aviation insurance. And then until then, enjoy clear skies and unlimited visibility.
Thanks for listening to the Aviation Insurance Podcast. If you found this episode of value, please share it with someone who would benefit from this information. Don't forget to subscribe in your podcast player so you don't miss any new episodes, and to help our show have more impact. This episode is brought to you by Aeris Insurance Solutions, your flight plan for navigating the turbulence of aviation insurance. For more information, visit aerisinsurance.com. That is www.aerisinsurance.com. Disclaimer: these episodes are for educational purposes only, and due to the changing regulatory and legal nature of the business, some information may change over time. Having a well-educated and experienced aviation insurance broker on your team is an absolute requirement to success in business and for managing your aircraft and aviation business risks.